The starship Elysium drifted silently through the vast expanse of space, its hull glinting under the light of a distant sun. On board, Dr. Ethan Carter, a human physician, was busy tending to the wounded crew members after a skirmish with a rogue asteroid field. The ship's medical bay was a sterile, white-walled room filled with advanced technology, both human and alien. Ethan was one of the few humans who had been allowed to work alongside the Zorathians, a highly advanced alien species known for their intellect and strict societal hierarchy. Ethan had always been fascinated by the Zorathians. Their blue-tinged skin, elongated limbs, and luminescent eyes made them seem almost ethereal. But it was their culture that intrigued him the most. They were a proud race, governed by an ancient monarchy, and their traditions were as rigid as they were mysterious. One day, as Ethan was reviewing medical scans, the ship's alarms blared. The intercom crackled to life, and the captain's voice echoed through the halls. "All personnel, prepare for emergency docking. We have an incoming royal vessel requesting immediate medical assistance." Ethan's heart raced. A royal vessel. That could only mean one thing. Someone from the Zorathian royal family was on board. He quickly gathered his supplies and made his way to the docking bay. The royal ship was a sight to behold. Its sleek silver design was adorned with intricate carvings that shimmered like starlight. As the airlock hissed open, a group of Zorathian guards rushed in, carrying a stretcher. On it lay a figure cloaked in a shimmering, iridescent fabric. Ethan's breath caught in his throat as he realized who it was. Princess Liora, the youngest daughter of King Zorath. Her delicate features were contorted in pain, and her luminescent eyes were half closed. Her long, silver hair was matted with sweat, and her breathing was shallow. The guards quickly explained that she had been injured during a diplomatic mission gone wrong. A rival faction had attacked her ship, and she had sustained severe injuries. Ethan didn't hesitate. He ordered the guards to bring her to the medical bay, where he began working tirelessly to save her life. Her injuries were grave: internal bleeding, fractured ribs, and a deep wound in her side. But Ethan was determined. He used every ounce of his skill and knowledge, working through the night to stabilize her. Hours turned into days, and slowly but surely, Princess Liora began to recover. Her strength returned, and her wounds healed, thanks to Ethan's care. During her recovery, the two of them formed an unlikely bond. Liora was fascinated by Ethan's stories of Earth, and he was equally captivated by her tales of Zorathian history and culture. One evening, as they sat in the medical bay, Liora turned to Ethan with a soft smile. "You saved my life, Ethan. I owe you a debt that can never be repaid." Ethan shook his head. "You don't owe me anything, Liora. I'm just glad you're okay." But Liora's expression grew serious. "In my culture, a life debt is not taken lightly. My father, the king, will want to honor you for what you've done." Ethan chuckled nervously. "I'm just a doctor, Liora. I don't need any honors." Little did he know, his life was about to change forever. A week later, the Elysium arrived at Zorath, the capital planet of the Zorathian Empire. The planet was a breathtaking sight, with towering crystalline structures that reached into the sky and rivers that glowed with bioluminescent light. The ship was granted permission to land in the royal palace's docking bay, and Ethan was summoned to the throne room. As he walked through the grand halls of the palace, Ethan couldn't help but feel out of place. The Zorathians around him were dressed in elaborate robes adorned with jewels, while he wore his simple medical uniform. But he held his head high, determined to face whatever was coming. The throne room was a vast, circular chamber with a high, domed ceiling. The walls were lined with intricate carvings that told the story of the Zorathian Empire's history. At the far end of the room, on a raised dais, sat King Zorath. He was an imposing figure, with broad shoulders and a regal bearing. His luminescent eyes bore into Ethan as he approached. "Dr. Ethan Carter," the king's voice boomed, echoing through the chamber. "You have saved the life of my daughter, Princess Liora. For this, you have my eternal gratitude." Ethan bowed his head respectfully. "Thank you, Your Majesty. I was just doing my job." The king's expression softened slightly. "Your humility is commendable, human. But in Zorathian culture, a life debt must be repaid. As such, I have decided to grant you a great honor." Ethan's heart skipped a beat. What kind of honor could the king possibly be talking about? The king continued, "I hereby bestow upon you the title of royal physician, and as a token of my gratitude, I give you my daughter, Princess Liora, to be your wife." Ethan's jaw dropped. He stared at the king in disbelief, his mind racing. "Your Majesty, I don't know what to say. This is unexpected." The king raised an eyebrow. "Do you refuse?" Ethan glanced at Liora, who was standing beside her father. Her expression was unreadable, but there was a glimmer of something in her eyes. Hope, perhaps? He took a deep breath and bowed his head again. "I am deeply honored, Your Majesty. But I must ask, what does Princess Liora think of this?" The king turned to his daughter, who stepped forward. "Ethan," she said softly, "I have come to care for you deeply during my time on your ship. I would be honored to be your wife." Ethan's heart swelled with emotion. He had grown fond of Liora during her recovery, but he had never imagined that their relationship would lead to this. He nodded slowly. "Then I accept with all my heart." The king smiled, a rare sight that filled the room with warmth. "Very well. The ceremony will take place in 3 days. Until then, you are both to prepare." The next few days were a whirlwind of activity. Ethan was fitted for traditional Zorathian wedding attire, a flowing robe made of shimmering fabric that seemed to change color with the light. He was also given a crash course in Zorathian wedding customs, which were as elaborate as they were ancient. The wedding ceremony itself was a grand affair, held in the palace's grand hall. The room was filled with Zorathian nobles, all dressed in their finest robes. Ethan stood at the altar, his heart pounding as he waited for Liora to arrive. When she did, she took his breath away. She wore a gown made of the same iridescent fabric as her cloak, and her silver hair was braided with jewels that sparkled like stars. She walked down the aisle with grace and poise, her eyes locked on his. The ceremony was a blend of Zorathian and human traditions. They exchanged vows, promising to honor and cherish each other for the rest of their lives. Then, in a final act of unity, they each drank from a ceremonial cup filled with a glowing golden liquid, a symbol of their bond. As the ceremony concluded, the room erupted in applause. Ethan and Liora were officially married, and their union was celebrated with a grand feast that lasted late into the night.